Hello, hello. You're listening to For the Girls, Gays and Days, the podcast where two friends process their emotions concerning pop culture of note to the acronymed community. I'm Colt, he, him.
I'm Alex, they, them.
Welcome.
Welcome to it.
From film to television, music, and more, this episode we're back from a little break and catching up on what caught our queer eyes while we've been away. To kick things off,
Yes.
category is film.
Yeah. Get a girl.
Right, so I haven't actually seen a lot of films since we've been away. I don't know, I feel like it's sort of like a little bit of a dry period for films. One film that I did see that everybody was talking about when it did come out, people absolutely loved it to absolute bits and pieces, which is of course Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse.
Yes.
I personally liked it. I didn't love it as much as some people did. I did not think that it was necessarily better than the first one, which is something that I heard a lot of people say. I didn't really feel that just because I felt like it was not as focused maybe as that first film was. And while I think that there is a lot in the film that works really, really well, it is beautiful. You could speak for days and days on the animation style and the things that they sort of were doing with color, specifically around Gwen Stacy's character, which a lot of people have sort of attached a bit of transness to, especially with the color palette being very sort of pink, blue, white, and her narrative, a lot of trans people finding a lot of similarities to, parallels with. Of course, then every neckbeard ever was like, oh, what do you mean? It was like, just let people enjoy things. But anyway, I thought it was good. What did you think?
I loved it. I went to go watch it in the cinema. I don't go to the cinema often because I'm a brokey. But when I do go, I go to my favorite cinema with the best screen and the best sound as a treat to myself. And I think that was really the movie to do that. I think I'm not a fine art researcher, but my wife knows a bit about art, and so I know it by proxy. And I just sat in that film and saw all the different visual references, both the comics that I grew up on, just the different inlays that they put. I like the Lego references, obviously, to do with the folks behind the scenes. I really enjoyed it. It's look inward into what makes somebody who thinks they're doing the right thing lose perspective on the wider community and the nuance of life, and also the unpredictability of life. I think so often, especially for me, not to deep it too much, but I do deep everything too much. I sat there and went, everything's made to have a structure and a pattern and a routine, and that's the way I was always raised, and led to believe that life should follow that structure. And if you don't do this or you do this, this is what will happen. But the reality is you have to do what feels right to you, and you don't know what's going to happen. And it's kind of maddening to lose that bit of control, but also great just to follow your own intuition and your own instinct, even if it goes against, people that you might consider to be who you trust in life. You kind of have to back yourself a bit.
Yeah.
And I think that's really, I think Gwen, great example of that. And, I think the best thing was just Mal sitting there and going, I dreamt of being here for so long, and now I'm here, and they don't want me. And I don't belong, and they're telling me I'm, dog shit, but I realize I'm not. I think that was really powerful, because I think sometimes, especially as an adult or even in my old age with my dad back, I do often feel like sometimes that square peg in a round hole.
Yeah.
And I think him kind of back to himself in that moment was a really good thing for me to connect with. Going back to what you were saying about some people saying it's better than the first, I don't like it when people do that about a piece of art like that, because I feel like it's fine to say season 2 of Love Island was better than season 3 because it's fucking Love Island. But when it's a piece of art that people have put 4 years into, 5 years, and they haven't slept and they haven't seen their families, it's like a different energy. I think I understand the urge people have to compare it, but I think it's like
It's hard not to. It's hard not
hard
to.
not to, but I think it's kind of it's a different moment in Miles' story, it's a different moment in Gwen's story, and it's a different moment in animation. Like I think it's broken the idea in some people's heads of what we could put out as geared towards all ages. It's so high level and interesting and layered and complex, you know? But that being said, did I enjoy the first one more? Now that I think about it, I think
For me, the thing
I don't
was
know.
with the difference in why I sort of say, like, when people were like, "Oh, this one's better than the first one," and I can't really latch on to that,
Yeah,
is because I felt like there was a little bit more of a cohesiveness to the
the
first film. A
story.
little bit more. It was a complete enclosed story.
Yeah,
It felt like I could see the direction it was going in throughout the film. Like I could feel the like central plot thread, so to
yeah,
speak. Whereas with this one, I felt like it was a little bit more meandering at points.
that
With it also being a part one, essentially, it is an incomplete story. You know, I did feel like this one had a lot more going on in it.
yeah, it did. I found it to be there was a lot happening and a lot of things to keep track of.
Yeah, and none of it was done badly. Like I
None
do
of
feel
it
like I
was
have to
bad.
reiterate that. It's like none of it was done badly, but it did feel different and slightly less cohesive to me, which slightly lowered my enjoyment of it compared to the first one.
I think the first one really got my attention, but this one kind of I saw a bit more of myself in it, and I think that is
Right.
definitely my opinion of it. If I compare it like the actual things you should look at when you're doing a review, you know, like character art and storylines and through lines and stuff like that. I think you're completely right. It was a little bit more like a Jackson Pollock
Yeah.
when there were a lot of things happening. But for
Yeah.
me, connecting with it, I felt a little more connected to this one. Like I felt like they set me up and they got me wrong. So
Good.
that's just it.
Yeah. Any other films that you've seen or film you think? No, not for you.
I'm just waiting for Bobby. Like every other
Yeah.
gay person in his
Who
return.
is we're
Yeah.
getting close. We're getting close. Yeah, I would sort of say the only other film thing that I sort of saw and while we've been away was The Little Mermaid. I did eventually end up seeing it in the cinemas. I didn't really have an interest in it initially. Like I was sort of just
Did
going to
you?
wait for it to come out on streaming, but I did end up going to see it in the cinema, and it was fine. In terms of how like the Disney live action remakes have gone, I think it is one of the better ones, but that's not a
Let's
high
go.
bar to clear. So I thought that Haley Bailey was really good.
Yeah.
As Ariel, I thought that she was very good. I thought Melissa McCarthy was very good as Ursula. Horrendous makeup job aside.
Jail for that heterosexual.
So
Jail.
bad. And I feel like I want to criticize it even more because he came out and went, people are telling me that you like, why can't a straight man do like drag makeup? And I'm like, why can't he? Because
Yeah,
you didn't.
exactly.
Because you failed.
Asked. Well,
He's like, that's a great question, sir. Why can't you do a drag makeup? Because you didn't.
there are
Whatever that
tutorials
was.
Online. There are literally tutorials that I watch every fucking week of how
My
to do drag
first
makeup.
time doing drag makeup, which was atrocious, was about as good as what Ursula looked like in this one. Ursula was giving full baby drag, first time up in drag, first time at the gig kind of thing. She was giving in the line for the meet and greet, straight girl's first time trying to do drag after getting obsessed with Trixie and Cartier, which is a shame because Melissa McCarthy's performance was very good. It just, the whole time I just kept staring at her eyebrows and I was like, what is happening here?
They're not even cousins. You're meant to have them be sisters. They weren't even cousins.
Yeah, no.
Like,
and if they were not very attractive cousins, put it that way.
No. Oh my God. And I feel like, here's my thing. So if you have a room full of 100 gay people and all of them can do something with their eyes closed that you can't see to do with a multi-million-dollar budget and unlimited resources, then please fucking let the gay people do it with fucking NYX makeup for $10.
And it is also the thing of like when you have a character that and a sort of look that is specifically an icon in the queer community. A look that was specifically designed after a incredible icon of the queer community being Divine was the inspiration for the character design of Ursula in the first place. So this is specifically a drag look. Do your homework. Do just, it just feels like more of a failure because there are any number of drag artists or other makeup artists who do drag looks who could have and should have done that job. And that's where it, and then to come out and be like, I'm the victim here. Why you're just mad at me because I'm straight. It's like, no, people are mad at you because you did a bad job with a character that's incredibly important to a lot of people.
And I think it's one of those things where you can in fact recognize when you fucked it up and not maybe come online and be so defensive.
He doesn't seem to have realized that he has fucked it up. In that particular interview, he seemed to genuinely think the problem here was that he was straight, and that's what people were mad at. And it's like, we could not care less who you're fucking, sir. Like, we just care that you fucked up this makeup.
Exactly.
It's not it's not even a difficult look to do. Like the Ursula, like Divine makeup is not very intricate. We're not talking about Trixie face here, This is not. We don't have like giant shapes and like everything's cut out. It is a very
and
simple,
science.
very simple makeup design. And to get it so wrong is just anyway. We don't like to harp on too much negativity on this podcast, so we will move swiftly along to our next category, which is television.
And
Alex, what have you been watching since we've been away?
Well, there are two things that I really want to talk about. One, because it's, I think, an iconic moment in TV. And the other, because it is a bit of me and a bit of you. So, first up is The Bear. Second season on Hulu was released, I think, a few weeks ago in June.
It does not drop in the UK and the rest of the world until later this month.
Which I
Disney
understand to be true. Yeah, so I'm not going to give too many spoilers, but Kami is back with the gang and they leave the Blessed Kitchen, which I think is such a great thing to do, like trying to figure out what they're going to do and how the new restaurant's going to be and if it's going to exist and what's happening. So we kind of see them outside of that world and we get a full perspective of who they are. We get guest appearances that made my jaw drop. We get backstories. We get shifty douchey moments. We get a bit of romance. We get it all. And I think what I really loved about this season was its exploration of trauma, family trauma, how anxiety relates to your family trauma, and why your life is better sometimes in a way that you didn't see it coming, and also finding your purpose. I think that's also really great.
It's all hitting quite close to home.
Oh, it was a bit close to the bone. Yeah. So I had to watch it in bits, a bit like a rich pudding.
One thing I have seen consistently about the season from a lot of like TV critics is that like, why is this not a show that comes out weekly? This is not a binge show. This really should be a show that comes out every week, and it should be given, because it's the thing of it, it's dropped. People have talked about it for 5 minutes and now people have already sort of moved on. And there's people who have not been able to like get through the season yet because it can get intense, I believe. So people are like, this should be a show you drop one episode a week. People have the time to mull it over and discuss it and sort of, which is just my opinion of a lot of shows, to be honest. I think we should move back to that formula. I think the binge drop formula is overplayed and it doesn't work for me anymore. And I think it's not working as much for a lot of people, specifically for like the reason you're talking about is like you want to take the time to mull it over and digest and process what you've watched. And it's hard to do that when you've just got all the episodes dumped at once. And there's so much content all the time that it's hard to stay on top of.
Yeah, I think so too. And I think, especially with this show, it was a lot like a therapy session Shout out to
Right.
therapy, where you just kind of like, they show you callbacks and references to different things in these people's lives, and you kind of realize how it shaped them as people. You
Right.
realize why they behave the way that they do in the relationships that they have, and I think Sarah Paulson, Jamie Lee Curtis, they really surprised me by not being main characters, but by giving a performance that enriches the main characters sort of
Right.
perspective. And I think it was really powerful. If both Jamie Lee Curtis and Sarah Paulson don't get an Emmy nomination, this whole thing's rigged. Jamie Lee Curtis,
Which will be, I think, next
so
year.
great.
It's not for this coming
Yeah.
Emmys. It'll be for the following year, because I think the Emmys coming up soon is from last season of The Bear. So yeah.
Yeah.
So
I think
don't get mad if the nominations come out this year and you're like, where are they? They
I only
should
know
be
that
coming
because
next
of,
year.
I only know that because of you and one of the family members that I have was that like you can submit from a certain period of time. But I think, yeah, when those nominations do come out and everybody has the chance to see Jamie Lee Curtis, like obviously she has her own family references that she might be calling on, but God, she's good. And
We know she can work an award circuit. We know that.
she can.
Yeah.
But I think the thing that I was going to say was just we can see a bit of all our histories in that character, and we can see a bit of ourselves. And I think, especially in the last episode, it's so easy to judge people for asking for whatever they need from a situation, from a family,
Yeah.
from whatever, and you just don't actually know. And sometimes it's better, to get some perspective and some space. And I think The Bear is one of those shows where it makes you laugh, but it also really makes you think, and just so good. Stand-up performances from everybody. But there is an episode that I'm not going to spoil, but it's called Forks. And I cried so hard.
Yeah.
So there's one called Fishes, which I think I had to watch in bits. It was a bit tough, but Forks, just such good TV. Like I don't think I've seen TV that good in a minute, because it wasn't big explosions. It wasn't the dragon soaring through the air. It was literally a guy with a bucket full of forks. So good. Anyway, enough said. I think perhaps watch it.
Yeah, no, I'm very much looking forward to when it drops on Disney Plus later this month. And I think that's a lot more sort of highbrow than some of the TV that I've been watching. The things that sort of come to mind, obviously, Yellow Jackets is wrapped up. Yellow Jackets was really good. Which we've talked about in more depth on the show before. Obviously, we had Eurovision happen while we've been away, which is a travesty, because I really very much did want to be able to deep dive a Eurovision, but alas, that did not happen. I
don't think the winner should have won. I don't think the winner should have won.
I was happy that the winner won. I will fight you on that. I'm one of the very few people who could not fucking stand Finland. He irritated me so much. That song annoyed me. I cannot explain why.
I didn't want the break to win. No. I wanted the crazy fucking girls with the ponytails to win.
Girls with the ponytails?
Girls with the ponytails, and they were serial killers. Come on. Serial killers, ponytails. Let me get their name. They should have fucking won.
I mean, I was personally rooting for Who the Hell is Edgar?
Oh, that was a bad guy.
And that got so disrespected by not only the jury, but the public vote in particular. So when people are like, it should come up to the public vote. No, it shouldn't, because the public vote gave them like 5 votes, which is absurd.
Rude. Okay, I can't find the crazy girls with ponytails. I found them, but I don't know. I can see their face.
Chechia? Is that who you're talking about?
Yes, it was Chechia.
Oh.
What?
Okay.
What?
Okay.
I
they were
don't
giving
like
very...
Stab you in your sleep.
Very Lord's last era. Lord's last album.
Yes,
they were giving very that.
Yes,
very,
I do like that.
Yeah, what was the album name of that? Was it Solar Power? That was the like lead single, but
Yeah.
I can't remember if that was the
Sort of
album
a
name.
tribe out, spaced
Yeah, on
out,
a beach wearing
fine
pastels,
art major. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Very much the
Um,
energy, takes drugs. I
speaking
love
of
girls like
sex,
that.
drugs, and the beach kind of thing.
You
Maybe
know.
not drugs, but like Sex and the Beach. And the other like TV thing that I was going to mention was a reality series.
Yes.
I'm talking about I Kissed a Boy, which
Yes, I've heard about this.
is
Tell
like
people.
the gay Love Island, where like the people are not vapid and terrible. They are in fact interesting, nuanced portraits of the gay community.
And they're
Hosted by
hot.
Danny Minogue.
Yeah.
The resurgence, the renaissance, some might say, of the Minogue sisters has been immaculate. And I Kissed a Boy
So
was a
right. Yes.
delightful show. I thought it was so well constructed and so well made, and the contestants were really interesting characters with really interesting stories. And I thought it was very
Yes.
well produced and edited and all that jazz. And I would highly recommend it. So basically, the premise of I Kissed a Boy is you have a collection of contestants who meet for the first time with a kiss. So they are paired up by the producers who sort of go through their list of things that each person is looking for. They pair them up thinking in terms of their best compatibility. And for the first time, they meet and they kiss, which honestly for gay men is not that. They play it off as something unusual, but I'm like, it's not that unusual for gay men to kiss someone that have no idea who their name is.
Don't tell stories out of school. We don't need people outside of the community in the.
I just like they kept saying on the show, like, I can't believe I'm about to kiss someone whose name I don't even know. And I'm like, don't act like that is the first time that's happened
We
to
all
you.
fucking have. You're just bitch over here. We've all
It's
been
like
at the Boston or
some
Tiger
of you have
Junction.
kissed
It's the
people you haven't
stranger.
even seen. You haven't even seen them fully. They just happen to be there. Don't lie to me.
Yes. You've been in
Anyway,
a dark room, no lights on, and done worse things than kiss.
so that's the sort of opening premise of the show, and then it gets very sort of Love Island-y, where people sort of, you can swap around. They bring in sort of bombshell characters who come in and have to sort of shuffle around. It's very interesting. A lot of diverse sort of stories to it. There's one guy who's only sort of been out for about 2 months, and he enters the show. Doesn't go well for him. Let's just say it that way. Bless his
Sweet son
cotton
of a boy.
socks.
Yeah.
But bless him for having the cheek, the nerve, the audacity, the gall, and the gumption to enter this type of reality show fresh out the box. But in general, it's just so entertaining.
Do it. Give me a bit of joy. I mean,
every gay man I know is contemplating applying for the next season.
Some of them shouldn't. You're in relationships, you're always close relationships. They're not polyamorous, you're just a hole. Do you know where I can watch it in the States? Because I haven't found it.
I could not tell you where you could watch it in the States. I imagine probably BritBox, because doesn't BritBox normally give you the BBC stuff?
It does, and I do have BritBox. I don't know. I haven't seen it, but you know what that could mean, which was the same thing with Traitors, is the US will make its own version.
I hope so. I hope that for you. I know that they're doing a I Kissed a Girl is the next version, also hosted by Danny Minogue.
That's going to be a mess. Oh god,
very much
Danny
excited
Minogue.
for that. There was also that reality show on Netflix. Speaking of queer women being terrible on television, which I have not watched. I watched Trixie and Cartier react to it, but I have not watched the show.
I'll tell the people and I'll tell you. Do you want to know?
Yeah, tell me.
Yes. So imagine all of my worst exes. Put them on a cheat. No, I'm kidding. Shout out to my exes. I hope nobody's listening to this.
You're not kidding. I know some of your exes, and that checks out entirely.
Joking. Taking the piss. I'm very much taking
like
the piss.
The absolute worst one. There's one of your exes who very much comes to mind. The absolute worst one on that show. You know who I'm talking about. I know who I'm talking about. Some of our listeners know who I'm talking about. If they know you at all, they know who I'm talking about.
No, oh, that's going to
That's
be a super on TikTok. Okay, no, but no, okay. Take two people in completely different places in their lives and
who
completely
really
different
should not
places in
be
their own
together.
relationship. No, because if you need to take the person you're with on a show to say marry me or break up with me, baby girl, baby they, baby Aussie, because there's one person on the show named Aussie whose only pronouns are Aussie, so you just have to call them Aussie. You have to call Aussie Aussie. Anyway,
Aussie, Aussie,
um,
Aussie.
oi oi oi, they're from Australia.
No.
No,
You
get
don't
every time.
say.
It'll be every time. Oh no, okay. So imagine two people at completely different places in their lives.
Mhm.
And they've decided, one of them has decided to go on the show. The other person seems totally unprepared, but has somehow done background montages and interviews. And seems surprised that they're there to this day. Then take a heterosexual woman and make her the host of a whole bunch of messy queer people who then will proceed to date whoever the fuck says yesterday for, I think,
They
2
play
weeks.
pass the parcel with people's
Yeah,
lives.
pass the parcel.
Yeah,
Some of them fuck. Some of them don't.
most
Some
of
of them
them.
have the most
No?
ridiculous scenes I've ever seen in my life, one of which involving a dog. Anyway, and then you kind of have this mess. And then these crazy people, that was ableist, these people who perhaps I wouldn't date or would love to overhear the dinner, decide that they will get back together or break up completely. A lot of them get back together. Not only that, Cultifer, they get engaged. They get engaged.
Mm.
And then we had a
I love
reunion
reality
party.
TV. I love
It's so
reality
good. It's
TV.
so good. I would, if you're looking for something to do this afternoon, watch it, feel bitter about your choices for breaking up with that person you knew you shouldn't have been with, because that's what these people should have done. None of them should be together. Get me in the comments. I don't give a fuck. All of them should break up. It's the worst thing, but the best thing. It's so good. Okay.
Right. So reality TV, obviously, love, obsessed. Is there any other TV shows that you've watched recently in the last sort of month and a bit since we've been away that you've been obsessed with?
So come with me, if you will, to the leafy remote island of Tasmania to meet an unhinged group of lesbians and other queer people
You
on
know
an
I'm on
island.
board. You know I'm on board.
And what we've discovered is that they all have banter. They're all fucking funny. And they keep finding bodies with their tongues missing. And here we have, unfortunate. It's also
I'm in. I mean, I'm still in.
fucking hilarious. It starts off with one of the funniest scenes I think I've ever seen. And it's remembered.
Okay, hang on. What is this show called?
Wait. I'm getting there.
Okay. Sorry.
And it's taking you to the idyllic queer getaway of Deadloch. Don't let the name throw you off. What it is a lock. And a little bit of
With
dead
death?
people.
Yeah.
It's actually really good. And like minus the murder, I would maybe live it. Like I think it's really good. It just has a slight homicide problem. Oh, I don't know if people want to look into that. So it's on Amazon Prime in America. And it stars Kate Box, who's author of a show called Fateworth, as Dulcie Collins.
I recall that, yeah.
But she is someone in a marriage that is tricky to a character called Kath York. And Kath is so much fun to watch on screen. She will annoy you endlessly, but very entertaining. You'll also meet a character who I think, in a good way, reminds me of you. His name is Sven. He's tall. He really doesn't fancy being work, but he's there. Police officer. And
read me the filth. Why don't you? Jeez.
He's lovely, and I like him, and I want to be friends with him. So I hope you see him and see a bit of you.
Okay.
Not going to give the show away, but imagine, if you will, the buddy comedy between two people who don't get on at all. One of them's absolutely filthy. One of them is meticulous. they're trying to solve this murder, but they're also trying to work around the men in this town who are god awful. They're
Not
like
they all?
footy,
Yeah.
they don't shower often, and
Ugh.
all they wear are short shorts. If you're thinking South Africa, so am I. And so,
I mean, what do you have
it's a
against short
messy
shorts,
one.
Alex?
No, not
That
study
I'm
hot
not
short
absolutely
shorts.
not currently wearing.
Rugby shorts. Oh, you've got to show us your bum.
No, I'm all right.
And by us, I mean me. No, I'm not going to objectify you, but you've always had a
Well,
very nice
please
bum.
do.
You've always had a very nice bum.
So I've been told.
But it is lovely. What it is it takes comedy and puts it into a detective setting and takes
That is your
sexism
vibe.
and takes sexism and turns it into an allegory about murder, and it's really good. It's also week by week, which is when you think, like, I don't want to be a trauma. I kind of like that shit. Like,
I agree.
it's the season isn't finished. I don't know who the murderer is. I can't spoil it for you. Thusly, there's a lot of red herrings.
Need to get on it then, so I can
it's
catch
great.
up.
Yeah.
And with that, we're going to take a quick break, and we will be right back. And we're back. And the category is music.
Yeah.
Now, music.
Yes.
We could not catch up on music and not immediately talk about one word that has proliferated the community. And that word is
Padam.
It has become an instant queer classic. It has become a slang term for whatever you want it to be.
It's true.
Can be heard at any queer event multiple times. I was at London Pride yesterday. I heard it only 8 times. I expected more, but only 8 times.
Spotify called me a slur about it. I logged into my Spotify and it said, Kylie Minogue has released a special version of the vinyl pressing just for her top 1% fans. And I said, just say it to my face. Just say it with your chest. But you don't have things to bandy about.
So in case you didn't know, for whatever reason, perhaps you are straight and don't have gay friends, in which case I'm not sure why you're listening to this podcast. But anyway, we're of course talking about Padam Padam. It is the latest single from Kylie Minogue that I've been obsessed with from the first moment that I heard it. I'm pretty sure I immediately sent you like a little screenshot of me playing it, being like, oh, this is about to be the vibe of the summer. She's about to be the song of the summer.
Yeah.
And
right, folks.
It is the song of the summer. For people to say that it's sort of like the return of Kylie, I'm like,
she never left.
She never left. Firstly, A. And secondly, B. If anything was the return of Kylie, it was disco.
Exactly. Did nobody else hear her song with Dua Lipa, which is really good?
Or like Say Something, which was like the song of the summer while we were in lockdown. Like that was like the song that got me through lockdowns. So...
Sorry. I'm sorry, there's plural thing. Lockdown.
So many. Anyway, yeah, Kylie never left. And people there are people who've discovered Kylie with this song, which is truly nothing has made me feel older. Truly nothing has made me feel like more of a geriatric than like little babies on TikTok being like, so I've just discovered this new artist, Kylie. And I'm like, oh my God.
I should get this all checked out.
I need to sit down,
No, but I think what was really interesting about that is the woman like knows how to make it. She's been making hits since she was 18, and she had that song with her boyfriend. Like she has made hits my whole life. Mm-hmm. And in Cape Town, they used to.
She's the only artist I think to have like a charting single in 5 decades.
I believe you. I believe you.
I think it was 80s, 90s, 2000s, 2010s, 2020s. Yeah, 5
And
decades.
I want the kids to go see that she's also an actress. She was, on Neighbours. She was on Neighbours. Anyway, my point about Kylie Minogue, but I'm not obsessed. My point about Kylie Minogue is that you can speak to the gay community and be however old and still connect if you make a bop. All you got to do is make a bop. And
not only did she make
we'll
a bop,
dance
but
to
she
it.
understood immediately that it was for the gays. And she knew immediately to pander to the gays as much as she could. And she's done it.
And that's right.
She's right, and she should say it,
What I really enjoyed about it is that some social media manager, some admin of hers told her it was hot on TikTok. She put on glasses. She put on a latex outfit and said, "Girl, did you say that there are people with mine on TikTok? I'm ready." And she's made a series of ridiculous videos.
Yeah.
And I really enjoyed that. With her sunglasses on, show her how the kids are dancing to her song. And it's just so right.
And as we say, like, Padam has become like a meme. It's become like the calling card of like, when gay people see each other in public. That's sort of my favorite one, of like people sort of turn around and go, Padam. And they respond, Padam.
And it's true. And somebody said it, and I agree. Like, it's so great to know the song that's stuck in other gay people's heads. Like when they're walking around and you see them in the shop, and you just know that they're like popping to it.
I hear it.
You know what it is? It's like the Womanizer came out, and all of us sang Womanizer as we were going to the train, right?
Yeah.
Oh, good. It's a moment. I'm so happy it happened. It made my heart heal. Like, I love it. Love it.
Also, an entire moment. And this kind of falls in music. I think it falls in music anyway, and not necessarily in the other category. I'm talking about the Renaissance World Tour.
Yes.
From Queen Bee.
Yes.
Beyonce.
Yes.
I was fortunate enough to be able to go see her when she was in London. I initially did not think that I was going to. Tickets sort of came out. I'm like, well, I'm not going to get tickets. They're going to be too expensive. They're going to sell out immediately. I'm not a concert person. The last time I went to a concert was with you, Alex, in 2013 to see Lady Gaga.
Yeah. Which was a moment of our lives. Yeah.
Even then, I was not supposed to see that, and very at the last minute was gifted a ticket by our dear friend Emma, who is going to get a shout out on this because that was like a formative moment of my life, and I didn't know it was going to be, and it's all thanks to her. So this time around, I will shout out Vittoria, my friend Vittoria, because it is thanks to her that I ended up going to Beyonce this time, because she messaged in a little group chat that we have about the fact that she couldn't do something that we were doing because she was going to Beyonce. And in that moment, my housemate and I sort of looked at each other and we were just like, let's just see. Let's just see if there's tickets available. There were not only tickets available, but they were relatively affordable, considering, and pretty good seats as well. So we went
I think you had a good deal.
Yeah, pretty good. Amazing. I don't think it needs to be said, but like Beyonce puts on a show, and that is why I ultimately decided to go, is because if I'm going to go to a concert, it needs to be a production. And she very much puts on a production. And I've been seeing clips on TikTok. I'm not a person who wants to go into a concert unspoiled. I'm like, I want to know when to expect things. I want to know like when to get ready, when to take a little photo, when to take a little video, when to just enjoy it. I want to be prepared.
Was Blue Ivy there?
Blue Ivy was not there for my performance.
You got to give him some days off. Yeah.
It was the only performance out of all of the London performances where she did not come out on stage. So that's a shame. And I will say that I did love seeing her on sort of TikTok get better and better with every performance. Because bless her soul, bless her
so nervous.
She was very stiff that first performance.
I would be too, but like if my mom was Beyonce,
it's in no way a criticism.
Yeah.
Because I absolutely could not do what she was able to do.
No,
but I think by the sort of end of the London tour, she was absolutely giving it. her entire being. She was so good. That the whole concert, the experience, I of course cried almost immediately. My housemate had sort of said that she was like, "I'm gonna cry, I just know it." And I'm just like, okay, seems like a lot, but okay. Like I see that for you. This is a moment, okay. And then she obviously cried first, and then Beyonce went into she did a version of River Deep Mountain High for Tina. And when she was doing that number, I was like, oh my God, she's so beautiful. These vocals are so powerful. The emotion. And I was just bawling my eyes out throughout that entire song. And I was like, okay, this was a moment. This was an experience.
This actually gets I've seen her once perform live at Coachella, and it was like transformative and really like life altering. And I think anybody who saw that Coachella performance would say the same thing. I think like she is one of those artists where you do have to see her live once in your life because she really puts her whole pussy into it. And she
Virgo
cares
recognizes
about
Virgo. She's a perfectionist.
She is a perfectionist. Nothing is out of line, and if it is, like she will
God
fix
help
it.
you. Yeah.
Yeah, like she. But what I also loved is she connected with the audience, which I also felt.
Yeah.
Maybe you mentioned like she sees, she moves, she reads the crowd and kind of goes with it and stuff.
Very much.
And I think that's very good.
Yeah. So I sort of I did Beyonce, and then I think about 2-3 days later, I went to Mighty Hoopla, which is the sort of premier gay event apart from Pride in London. It is sort of the unofficial Pride where every homosexual in London goes to. But I have not been to up until this point. I'm not really a festival person. It's sort of like a 2-day event. There's no camping involved, which is why I ended up going, because there's no way I'm camping in a tent and using a portaloo. It's just not going to happen. So yeah, it's a little 2-day event. It's a lot of sort of retro acts. So the
like
likes
Atomic
of
Kitten, or
the likes of the Venga Boys, Sophia Ellis-Bextor, Michelle McManus.
It's all people.
Yeah. So the Venga Boys was an entire moment. I don't mind saying that, like, I was very much obsessed with the Venga Boys in their sort of original run. I've come to re-obsess about them after the Venga Bus was used as a lip sync song on Drag Race UK versus the World. Since then, I've been re-obsessed. So when that song was performed, I lost my little mind in a way that I very seldom do. And it was just like a really great experience to be surrounded by so much queer joy, so many fabulous queer outfits, and just the people watching opportunities at the whole event were just immaculate. And I was able to discover some new artists as well, because there's this sort of many stages and people performing the whole time. So the one artist in particular, which I think I recommended to you, was I don't know if it's Bello or Bellot. I've never heard it pronounce the name in person, so I don't know how it's pronounced, but it's Belot. She was performing on one of the sort of smaller stages, and I was just like, I really like your vibe. And I've listened to some of her music online, and I think she is absolutely worth checking out. And if you have not heard her before, I don't know if you will have, because I think she's on the little bit of the smaller side, but she's just fabulous.
I would love to. I love checking out new smaller artists that are giving them a listen. Is always worthwhile spending of time, and especially if they appeal to the queer community.
Any other music that's caught your ear?
Well, I thought I might introduce us to an artist whose song went viral recently on TikTok because of a meme with Bill Hader off of SNL, in which he's in a little box and he's doing a bit of this. And I believe their name is Jane, and the song is called Makeba, and she's from France. And the song was actually released in 2015. And did have a level of popularity.
That TikTok tends to do, yeah.
Yeah. And she filmed the video in South Africa. For those who don't know, Mary Makeba was a South African artist who had a formative impact on South African culture because of her activism with apartheid. And what she really did was take South African languages that were on the periphery, so not Afrikaans, not English, and bring them into the cultural landscape with songs that were then sung in classrooms. One of her most famous songs in South Africa is called the Click Song, which is about a wedding, but had a bigger impact than that, in that it got everybody getting used to doing cause of clicks, which Cold was able to do many years ago. I don't know if you could still do now.
I
You
was
did so
never
much
really
better than
able
me.
to do it. I
You
was
were
so
your
bad.
tongue
I
was
was
always
so bad
looser
at
than
it.
mine. My tongue was a bit of
Well,
my first
that's
language was
not true.
actually
Especially not
oh,
when we knew each other.
oh, how dare you? No, but my first language is actually Swana as a baby. So you'd think I would be better at languages that were English. I've forgotten it by now. But to go back to the viral song, so you will have seen it. It's Bill Hader in a box doing a bit of this. And it's just about, about giving a fuck. But the song itself, I think, is quite good. And I think what a lot of people might not realize is that in the chorus, she's actually saying Makeba. And now I will do a dramatic reading of the similar. So she's actually saying Uwe Makeba Makeba Makwebella. Can I get a Uwe Makeba? Makes my body dance for you. So I think what we can take away from this is that Mary Makeba makes flops. And you should put them on your playlist. You should put the song on your playlist. It's not just the chorus, it's a whole good song. And I think it's very worthwhile for a listen. And I think when you hear a song going viral on TikTok, for the sake of the artist, not that we all have to like heal the industry, but I think the best thing to do is to not only go find it on Spotify because they get about 1 cent, but to go see the artist play more of their songs and see if you can.
0.003 and all that.
Exactly. Maybe see if you can buy a T-shirt with like Makeba on it, or like something, because that's how they actually see money. And that's my soapbox.
Nice. Amazing. I will just do like a quick shout out of some more albums, some more musical artists that have sort of been released while we've been away. Firstly, Christina the Queens is back with a new album.
Yeah.
That is lengthy, is the way I would describe
Is
it.
that a good thing? Is it anything more than 6 inches?
Normally I would say no. I'm not really a size queen, but in this respect, it gives you time to sort of like sit and soak. What I've been using it for, which sounds bad, but like I don't know. I don't mean this as a criticism, but I've been using it while I read, because it's a lot of the type of music that it's pretty easy to listen to while you're doing other things. This sounds like it's a criticism, but like
doing something record is what I call those.
In a similar way to like Parcels, who we've talked about in the pod before, that you've introduced me to. There's similar in that. It's a little bit of like a filmic quality, because obviously I use a lot of like movie scores and things as well to like listen to while I read, just because I can't like have silence, or I can't concentrate on the words that I'm reading, but I also can't have too many words or like complex sounds, or I can't, or it distracts me. So I've been doing a lot of that, but there are some really, really great songs. There's a song that samples sort of like the wedding march in a really interesting way that's quite haunting and beautiful. There's a song that features Madonna that is interesting. I feel like that's the word most frequently used with Madonna in her current iteration is interesting, with like the inflection and the interesting. And then of course there was also Kelly Clarkson dropped her new album Chemistry, which obviously Kelly Clarkson of American Idol fame, first ever American Idol winner, current daytime talk show host.
I took a clip of like screaming Kelly Clarkson on a waxing table.
Right. Meme queen.
That is what I think of when I think of her.
She also did like a whole slew of cover songs through her talk show. She would do a lot of cover songs.
Those pipes.
Which is released.
Yeah.
The cover song of Billie Eilish's Happier Than Ever.
And she ate Miss Billie. I am so sorry to Miss Billy, but she ate her
was
out.
an entire moment. I mean, I love both versions of the song, but her version of the song really did have a lot of traction. This new album is amazing. It explores a lot of
Divorce, babe.
divorce babe feelings. There's some bops, there's some bangers, there's some songs that are quite heartbreaking, but she remains the moment. Like Kelly Clarkson is just and the loveliest person. Like that's why I think she does so well on like the talk show thing of it all. Is she's genuinely interested in people, and she's just much like Drew Barrymore, who has also been an entire moment with her talk show. The two of them are here. The two of them are here to save us from a litany of white jimmies who don't actually care that much. So
there you go. You know what I love most about Drew Barrymore? She reminds me of one of my best mates. Like she reminds me of Emma.
Who we've shouted out already. That's 2 shout outs for you, Emma.
2 shout outs.
If you listen to this, I have no idea.
None for Lindsay. No. No. One for Lindsay. Just such a lovely summer child. Like just the type of person that you feel like cares about you, and it makes you laugh, and is goofy, and is smart, and is like all those things. I think that's what people connect with, both Drew and Kelly. But I think Kelly also, what's really interesting is that I haven't heard a voice like hers. Like I know everyone said it, and I'm not groundbreaking about it, but those pipes, like she just sings the shit out of every song. Every song, and she's not even sweating. She's maybe just looking at her grocery list. Like she just pipes, baby, pipes. You know, so good.
Amazing. So yeah, check out her the new album. It is so good. And if there's no other music that you want to talk about, Alex, that is our time.
Well,
thank you so much for listening to us catch up on all the things that we have missed over the last month and a bit. I'd like to tell you that these podcasts will be more regular from this point forward, but I don't want to lie to you. I don't know the future. Alex doesn't know the future.
We're not Mystic Mate.
We're both quite easily overwhelmed people who sometimes have stuff going on. So yeah, if you want to give us a follow on socials, we are at girlsgaysdays_pod on Instagram and TikTok. Video versions of this podcast are available on YouTube.
On the YouTube. Thank you so much for listening to us this week, and join us again for another set of pure culture. Cheers.
Cheers.
Santé.